Hi, my name's Jon Binnie. I'm a spiritual mentor based here in Scotland, and I'd love to give a first-hand account of my experience of working with Jenna Holloway through her amazing free content. And yes, all of what I'm about to tell you over the last few months is the work I've been doing with Jenna, just consuming her free content alone. And I want this to really help inspire other people and to give you some practical tips about what it's helped me do in terms of shifting from my 9-to-5 corporate job and building my own business. So let me begin. I feel like first of all, I found Jenna through a mutual friend, one of her other clients. Shout out to Jenny from Starseed Academy, who I've known for many years. And I'd heard Jenna and Jenny talking about how Jenna had helped Jenny work through, taking a business that was having, great turnover, and then really help balance out that self-love and that creativity and the divine masculine, like constantly pushing and creating, with being able to both have a better work-life balance and then also to generate even more income, which is counterintuitive to what we're programmed to understand. And I feel like the first big lesson that I learned from Jenna was watching her podcasts on Spotify, and she has loads. Like, you can binge watch for hours and hours and hours. And I felt like there was this concept, this really fundamental concept that I needed to listen to. And that concept is that there's a version of Jon, there's a version of me that wakes up every morning, and I create this reality around me. I create this construct of my limitations, my strengths, my weaknesses, my joys and my passions and my fears. And some of those constructs are learned and programmed into me, but they are on a daily basis reinforced and really created and co-created every day by me. And there's a version of me that is capable, a future version of me that's coming into this present moment, that is capable of waking up in the morning and creating a really beautiful reality. And if I just knew all the things that I really wanted in my life, in my dream life, and that I wanted for my loved ones, my family, for my friends, then if I knew that, I could create it. And I say all these words slowly, and I say all this it's so simple, and yet it is so groundbreakingly, paradigm shiftingly amazing to me. So I started listening to more of Jenna's content, and I started to build up this kind of picture of, because Jenna talks a lot about her offerings, what are the things that she does that she helps her clients with. And she shifted to helping business owners. And to explain a bit about my life, for 26 years, I've been a software engineer, then software manager. For the last couple of companies I worked at, I was the chief technical officer of small and medium-sized companies here in the UK. And across a range of industries, everything from finance to power industries, CCTV, serious game simulations, internet service providers, a whole broad range, and cybersecurity. More recently, for about 8 years, I've been in a large global corporate and continued to rise up in my career. And, earning a fantastic wage, a six-figure wage is just incredible, or multi-six-figure is just fantastic. And in 2017, I went through a spiritual awakening. And in that time, I started meditating each day. I started talking to my spirit guides every day in meditation and asking for messages and then creating songs from those. And I've created now over 2,300 songs. And on that journey, I also developed a whole range of psychic abilities and gifts. They developed into about 3 years ago. I really stepped into offering, like I built a website and started running sessions for clients, doing quantum energy healing, clearing, protection, helping people with past life healing, helping people face their fears, like step through and retrieve those parts of themselves that have lost, like healing their inner child, and all the way through to helping people activate their gifts and step into their highest timeline. And also creating guided meditations and trainings and now spiritual mentoring for people over 3 to 6 month periods. So all that's been fantastic. And to give you perspective of that business, my spiritual mentoring business last year, I did all my maths, and what was a hobby had cost quite close to the upper end of £1,000 in costs, including like my website and email services and a whole other range of things. And for the money that I'd earned, I was worried as I was counting it all up that I'd made a loss, but actually I think I'd maybe covered my costs. Now, obviously, that didn't include any of my time, and probably covered my heating of my studio where I do my sessions. But that kind of zero to hero opportunity was helpful. And actually, it was Jenna that really helped me. She was talking to one of her guests, and that really helped me get a starting point. It's okay, let's start with, where am I really? This isn't just this thing, this spiritual mentoring does bring in some money, but if that was a business, what would it be? So that was really helpful to get started. So let's talk about the big things that I did. So the first thing I did was, and I'm just going to describe this in a document that I put together. They're not necessarily in the order that I learned them from Jenna. And I would also add that Jenna's guests that she has on her podcasts and our live streams, they're just like gold dust, because every time I see her guests, I see them as a version of me. I see them that I could be that person. There's no, we're all equal, and there's no difference between the capability of that person and me, just that I've not had their journey and their experience, their challenges and their superpowers. And so when they're describing their lessons, I feel like I'm learning their lessons. So I think that's really important, because it's really easy to idolize other people, and no matter how successful they are. And with idolizing people, we often, excuse ourselves, we put a gap between ourselves and that other person. And actually, we're all equal. So the first thing I did was, the first action I took was I started to, and I did most of this just before Christmas, after listening to lots of podcasts and taking lots of notes, and doing lots of videos and sharing a lot of Jenna's practices and putting them into my life. The first thing I did is I wrote down what I call a press release, a future press release. So this is a press release from a future version of me in December 2026. And it's also something that I do in my corporate job, but it's a much more evolved and personal version. But that principle of forward winding into the future and being really, really clear, being as crisp as possible about what it is that I want, then that is my guiding light, my North Star. And I'll read some excerpts as I go. So the first thing is, I said in December 2026, in Jon Binnie's email newsletter. So this is the newsletter I send out to my clients. I say that since 2024, year on year, almost 5 times more people are going through big spiritual awakenings, and this rate is accelerating. I, Jon Binnie, are super delighted to share that as of today, to help this ever-growing population, I have helped over 5,000 people decoding their awakening journeys, raising their vibrations with sacred song and helping them come back into alignment with their hearts. And these people have also gone on to help more people, estimated in the region of 10 to 15,000 more people. And I'm delighted to reach thousands of people through talks and events and conferences and group sessions and one-to-one sessions. All of this whilst achieving my self-love and self-care and putting that first. And with a work-life balance, which was beyond my dreams. My take-home pay, insert number, with around 70% of my income, coming from passive income like training, meditations, and other products, and then 30% from direct services. And this balance enables me to have flexibility in my life, and that I've always craved traveling Europe and the world with my wife. And I'm so honored to visit so many magical places and people that this world has to offer. I have achieved this by offering a range of services to the newly awakened to help people as they first awaken and want to get to know what it's like working with me. I offer a range of free mindfulness and spirit guide meditations. I love creating free newsletters, live streams, long videos on YouTube like this, so that people get to know me in detail, plus short form content, the fun stuff on Instagram and TikTok. And as people become familiar with me and trust my energy, they go on to invest in my monthly membership, which is available on my website and Patreon, and also my premium meditations and my trainings on other platforms such as Udemy. And the game changers in 2024 for me were doing regular live streams on TikTok at 8 p.m. Every day, allowing me to reach 30,000 more people. And the launch of my, it's now called the Higher Self Foundational Training Course, which are key contributors to my strong membership group. And then I have a quote from one of my customers. This is from Alice Stacy, age 33, from Seattle in the US, says, I've been using Jon's Spirit Guide meditations every day now for 10 months, and they are less than 10 minutes, so I can fit them in almost every day. These have helped me connect with my spirit guides, do my shadow work, and begin the activation of my soul gifts. And I was then delighted to go on and book my first Decoding Your Awakening Path and Quantum Healing session with Jon, which is truly transformational for me. And for those that are more advanced, so that's the quote ended, and that's a fictional person with a fictional quote. For those that are more advanced, I offer a range of more advanced services and long-term mentoring. And then I go on to explain all those. And then there's another quote from a future customer. Joe Farlington, age 51, from England, says, I was trapped. I was a corporate wage slave. My journey with Jon started at free meditations and progressed on to several quantum healing sessions, and then on to 6 months spiritual mentoring. In this, I did my shadow work, activated my gifts, defined my dream life, and launched my new business blending tarot and spirit guide counseling. And then in December 2023, so this is me talking. In December 2023, I started my take-home pay at £0, ending the year only covering my costs for my website, Zoom, and mail services. And in 2024, I made my first 14K month. And in 2025, I made this sustainable and went on to insert numbers for the following years. And I continue to build my business and evolve it, helping thousands of people, and I help thousands of more people whilst increasing the flexibility and sustainably in my life. So pausing my reading for a moment, and thank you for listening to all that, because it's quite a lot. That took a long time to write. It's funny, like I felt like it was all in my head, but there was a lot of gaps. Like before I actually wrote that down, and this is a practice I learned in my corporate job, is you have to think first and then write it. And when you write, you have to think like cohesively. And so the thinking's the hard part, right? And the writing's the easy part. But if you haven't thought it all through and you've got gaps, that would really be the mental model that I would create each morning when I woke up, is that if I didn't clearly like have this vision set out in front of me about what was really possible for me, then how could I succeed delivering on a vision that I didn't really understand? So the other techniques I used was I looked at like the primary customer problem I'm solving. And so I said, once people go through their first big spiritual awakening, their whole life is turned upside down, leaving them feeling confused, scared, and lonely. And I also really interestingly found some research, and I didn't realize that this research exists. I'm not just crazy in talking about spiritual, awakening nonsense. And I found this reference from Science Direct, and it was a spiritual awakening and transformation in scientists and academics. And it says, among barriers to sharing experiences, participants noted their concern that they would be misunderstood or ridiculed by others. And that really resonates. So there's more there. There's a lot more online to learn. And I think that research is really helpful. I then go on to talk about, how many more people are awakening and how much faster it's becoming. And we all, awaken in different ways. Not everyone's the same, of course, and at different speeds. And not everyone, chooses to awaken. Okay, Jenna's like big thing for me. Now this might surprise you, but firing clients, or to the opposite, like who are my perfect clients? I wrote it down. It's so important. And I had experience in my first couple of years, like, energy vampires, people that would just take, especially in the kind of healing and counseling and mentoring business. You get a lot of people that don't want to help themselves. They just want to like turn up and complain at you. And get them, get you to fix them. And of course, it's very dangerous. You can end up just draining all your energy on them. And then also, end up with like a savior complex yourself, that you can save everyone. And I know that I can't save everyone. They have to save themselves. So I describe my perfect clients as those who have already experienced their first major awakening. So I'm not trying to wake people up. It's up to them. I'm seeking clients who are hungry to and need help identifying their mission in life, and their understanding and understanding their awakening path, activating their soul gifts and putting them into practice in alignment with their hearts. So I said hungry. People hungry to help themselves, and that they need some help and guidance helping themselves. That is so key for me. And so as soon as I wrote this down, like, you wouldn't believe what started happening. Like literally the minute I'd written it down, people started connecting with me who like messaged me on Instagram saying, "Oh, Jon, like I hear about your meditations. I really want to improve my daily practice. Like, where should I get started?" And I'm like, "Hey, they're free. Just go ahead and start yourself." Excuse me. And so I also changed my perception of my clients by writing down who they are. I then could decide when I connect with someone, energetically, when I'm thinking of them, when I'm attracting them in the material that I create, I'm thinking, are they hungry? And, this video is already 19 minutes or so long. You've got to be pretty hungry to want to still be watching me at this time, or maybe Jenna, because you're curious. And I felt like that's so important, because that hunger part, it drives us, right? It fuels us. And so now having a clear line about who my clients are really helped me focus my products, my content. even more importantly, letting go of clients that don't serve my highest good. So I had a couple in recent months a couple of different clients who, how to describe them? They reached out to me and they wanted to work with me. And when I chatted with them, they were very, confusingly to me, they were very dismissive of what I did. They didn't seem to feel that I was super credible. And it was almost like they wanted me to, to prove myself to them. And it was really strange experience. And I just said, I don't think you're hungry to work with me. You may think you are. You may treat other people like this, but it's not the clients I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are really hungry to work with me, and that they connect with my energy, and that feels right for them. If you're coming to me and asking me to prove myself to you, and it's not going to work, right? And there's no right or wrong, and it feels hard, right? Especially when these clients were offering me money. In fact, one of them still came back after I said no to them. But it really puts you in your power, and it makes you realize that this whole thing is a flywheel, right? So the more you consciously create this reality of your perfect dream life and your perfect business and your perfect work balance and your perfect clients, and the more you act on that, the more you receive it, right? And so so the opposite's true as well. The more you tolerate clients that aren't good for you, the harder things become for you, because you'll attract more of them, simply. And it's hard when you think, I need the money. What happens when I say no? And sometimes clients are like, huge in their financial potential. But it's really important to be clear and to set your boundaries, to set your line, and to say, if you're not the right client for me, I'm not going to work with you. I also wrote down, what is my mission? And I said, my mission is to help billions of people by decoding their awakening paths, raising their vibes through sacred song, and through bringing them back into alignment with their hearts. There, I said it. This gives me a lot of clarity, because it's easier to remember those three things: the helping billions of people, decoding their awakening paths, sacred song, and bring them back into heart alignment. And although the words themselves are quite kind of a little bit woo-woo and a little bit fluffy, and some people won't understand them, they mean a lot to me, those three things. They're like my three pillars. And to me, it's easier to remember than the whole 3-year vision ahead of me. And so whenever I wake up in the morning, these are the three things I'm thinking about, and I have mantras about them. So I found that really helpful. I also wrote down the goal for next year. And this was actually, so not next year, 2024, end of 2024. And I found that really hard, because I actually started this whole exercise with just a goal for the end of 2024. And I realized that so much could go so wrong, even if I achieved my goal. And that's worth thinking about, right? And I was listening to one of Jenna's recent podcasts yesterday about this. So think about this. Set yourself a financial target, your income target for end of 2024. Imagine a universe where you achieve it or exceed it, but you're unhappy. You're unhappy because you have bad clients, you work too hard, you don't have a great work-life balance, your self-love is terrible. So think about that. And that's also a segue into some of the tenets and like the approaches and the gaps and the friction. But I found that like really helpful is looking at the primary goal and thinking, okay, my 3-year goal takes me to this really like world-changing impact that I have, and just this incredible life. And on the journey to that, there's like a stepping stone of this first year. And yes, the first year could be a bit different, and there's a lot to set up and get running. But, my website, the ability for people to book, and my meditations and my training courses, like a lot of these building blocks are in place. So this year for me should be more about like that transition from my corporate job and income into this new business. And so I said, by the end of 2024, I will independently earn at least insert number, take home pay in brackets after tax. And this is from multiple incoming sources, so not limiting it to anything, including my spiritual mentoring, in a sustainable manner and for the highest good of all. Okay. And then I said, why is this my primary goal? And I said, my first step is to become financially independent from my corporate job. And so this week, on Tuesday, I resigned from my corporate job. I gave notice. Now, I've given notice. I have at least 3 months to give in my contract. And I've actually given to the end of this year. And that's to help me both build my business and to prepare for my succession in my corporate job. I've said I could leave earlier, and so I may. And so I said, why is it my primary goal? First step is to become financially independent from my corporate job. I'm leaving to set myself free from a paradigm of constant high stress and anxiety and being a slave to my wage. I'm moving out of a job that constantly forces me to compromise on the whole me, my truth, my abilities, and my ambitions. So that's like, that's the kind of old world paradigm. And to be honest, it's not just that company. I won't say who it is, but you could look me up. But it doesn't matter like which company. Like I'm ready to leave the software engineering industry, and it's so similar to many like corporates and small business industries. Like there's just a lot of, how to describe it, like just being a wage slave. And it's like, it's a comfort zone for sure, but it doesn't matter how comfy, how well paid, and how large your prison is, you're still imprisoned. So let's talk about tenets. And they are like this, like the kind of what are the trade-offs that I will make? What are the conditions that I will consider my goal to be successful, my goals to be successful? So I've said, what are my tenets to achieve my mission and goals? And I say, my health comes first every day. That's the first one. Second, and I might update that to self-love and self-care, and health comes first every day. And Jenna's been amazing at that, and she keeps talking about it. And you know what? It's so important because it seeds your flywheel, right? So this flywheel of get up in the morning, create your mental construct of reality. And if that reality doesn't include your self-care and self-love first, everything you do in the day like bleeds this kind of this dark like thread of, oh, well, I'll just compromise on, the hours I work or the clients I work with or the work I do. And then that feeds into your reality. So next morning you wake up and you're like, oh, my reality is that, I have to work huge amounts of hours to succeed. And that is wrong, not true. So that's just number one. Number two, I believe I will achieve my goal, and I surrender to the infinite, beautiful possible ways I will achieve it. And that for me talks about the magic of the universe, like waking up every morning and trusting that actually the universe wants you to succeed. That the universe and you and your heart and your subconscious want you to succeed. It's not working against you. It's not trying to stop you. Yes, there are opposing forces in you, in your life, but the biggest ones are you. So saying that, I surrender to the infinite, beautiful possible ways, like in my vision, although I do describe some of the mechanisms about how I believe some of these things will help me achieve my goals, I just don't know. I don't pretend that I could create the perfect plan, and the perfect plan would likely be wrong. It would likely restrict me. I said I create a sustainable work-life balance, working up to 80% of my capacity and working up to 5 days per week. I attract my perfect clients, and I let go of people and work that does not resonate with me. Everything I do is productive, including rest. My work enables me to be flexible to travel when I wish and enjoy my life to the fullest. Okay, and then Jenna also like pushes you to think about your gaps. Like, what are the gaps in achieving your mission and goals? And these are really helpful because you can think about where do you need help? And so the first one for me is like a clearly articulated business plan to go from zero to the target income and across which services. So I created that, and it's quite funny. Like, as a gap, I feel like although I've defined a potential solution, this year will be all about learning about the how of some of that and just being really open, like I was saying earlier, to how it's going to happen. A gap has been learning how to nurture my clients and convert them from free to regular and high worth clients. Jenna's doing that with me, right? So I've been months in the free zone. And like, I'm hooked. And I signed up just yesterday for her, I'm going to get the title wrong, but something like the Wealthy Woman membership group. And yes, men are welcome too, as I checked with Jenna. And it's really funny because she's been able to convert me to the next stage. And I found that with my clients that I have these free spirit guide meditations. And, you can probably tell from, if you've listened to all this 30 minutes listening to me, is that, I have this energy, right? Like, I wear dark clothes. I have, a deep, but sometimes like quite monotone voice. Hey, it's great for meditation. My energy, like, I prize my energy. Like, my energy is my product. And so keeping it high vibration and happy and, checking in on myself, talk all the time, and really focusing on a happy, high vibration human being and soul really helps me attract in the same people into my world. And so one really cool trick I did was for each of so I have about 15 guided meditations that are free on my website. And I love creating them. They're about 10 minutes each. And what's cool is that I was guided to add a little survey. So it's like a 10-minute YouTube video, and then you fill out like this 10-second survey, and it just says like three ratings, like perfect for me, good for me, didn't resonate with me at this time, and then the opportunity to add in some text. And it's private from my client to me, and it's like a little testimonial of their experience. And you wouldn't believe, like, most people, I'd say like 90% of people that are doing the meditations give me feedback. And quite a few of them say they were shocked when I responded to them and thanked them for their feedback. And I said, thank you so much. Like, first of all, I'm so happy that you completed it. Secondly, that it helped you in any way. When they share an experience, I thank them and hold space for it. And, I say to them, is there anything else I can help you with? I don't give them a sales pitch. I just kind of cherish that moment, that 10 minutes they invested in themselves and invested in me with, connecting with my energy and my content, and my voice and the way I work, and describing their experience to me is just so powerful. So that nurturing, and a really simple thing I now do is and this is something that Jenny from Starseed Academy helps me with also, is having this kind of business ladder. So when someone does something for free, make sure they don't just kind of fall off your kind of business ladder cliff. Like, what is the next thing that you'd like them to do? Because my clients are hungry. My perfect clients are hungry for the next thing. And I'm adding up some of my analogies, my metaphors just now, and realizing that often I talk about my clients that are engaging with my guided meditations, that they eat them up like cookies. And those that are most hungry, in fact, the person that I'm mentoring for a 3-month mentorship, she eats them like cookies and then gives me feedback on every single one. And she's like, of course they're not all perfect, right? And some are resonating more than others with her. But that connection that's built between me and my client is super helpful. And I nurture them every time we do a service. And I say, hey, what about this next service? I'll give you a discount on it. And like, I'm always giving them like a hook to join me in the next step. So I've said, how would I nurture clients from free to regular and high worth clients? And I feel like I'm making great progress there. I have a lot to learn, but it's great progress. And then structure and patterns in my working week to build my business. So I work 3 days in my corporate job. Now they're long hours. They're like 10, 12-hour days. And sometimes like this week, they've got me working like an extra few hours today on my day off. And then next week, an extra day, which I'll get back. But I'm also like studying reflexology. I've got, I'm a husband and father of two teenagers. And I have a dog and a house and a holiday house and a motorhome and my hobbies. And there's a lot to cram in and a lot of kind of chaos. But I would say what I have learned on this point about structure and patterns is that the most powerful thing that Jenna's really helped me with is learning when you put your self-love and self-care first, you become incredibly sustainable and you very naturally gravitate to the things that you love the most. And even so reflexology, for example, it's a year's diploma. It's a huge commitment. I have to do 100 hours of reflexology sessions to certify. And every time that I'm engaging with material, with the practice, with the teaching sessions, I'm always like reflecting on, like, is this something that really resonates with me? Like, what is it about this thing that I'm doing that I believe is helping me? And I just get like this whole range of answers back that I really love. So when I was writing an essay, one of the big reasons is I wanted to learn about physiology. Like, my physiology was terrible. And even though the essay was like, it's a kind of relatively boring approach, I've learned a lot more about muscles and the human body and the organs. And that really helped me, because when you're doing energy work with people, you want to know these things. And Jenna also talks about doing high vibe things, raising your vibes before you do your work. And that's definitely a pattern as well. So, and raising your vibes doesn't need to just be like Jenna often dances before her work, she says, which I absolutely love. Like, I can't encourage you to do that enough. But for me, it's also about the right level of rest. So if I've got like, a big client session coming up in an evening, like I know it's going to be really powerful. We're going to be doing a lot of shadow work and negative entity removal. I have a good long rest, sometimes hours before then. And then afterwards, I make sure I've got like the time around it to recover. And the things I do when I'm active and busy, when I'm not resting, it's like music, it's like time with my family, it's walks in nature. Like, they definitely raise my vibrations. I also use my calendar. So I'm so used to using Outlook in my corporate job, and now I regularly maintain my Google Calendar, and I have patterns on my non-corporate days of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I put in like booking in tasks, and what's really important for me is like booking in the fun stuff as well as like the kind of work stuff. And it's funny, like I feel like this world of work and pleasure, they're becoming far more similar. Not pretending that, hard work sometimes, like those difficult times that you go through. Like when I'm doing client sessions, sometimes I'm crying a lot with them. Like we're going through really powerful energies and healing. And that requires like a lot of self-love and healing for me and, as well as my clients. So I make sure that there's boundaries, and I know that when I stop work for the day, that's it. Like my phone's off. But at the same time, I really love like having a pattern of getting up in the morning, have a daily routine of running, and then I do gym and meditation and yoga, and then I eat breakfast, have a shower, I do my song for the day, a bit of a post about the work I'm doing, whatever it is. At the moment, it's my higher self foundational training course, and so like those routines are really helpful, and I do watch for friction, and I do come on to that. What ideas do I have for closing these gaps? So creating a business plan, and circulating it with mentors and others and getting their feedback and updating my plan on a regular basis. So it was actually a few weeks since I saw my like 3-year vision, like that 3-year press release. And so that was really, really helpful for me. Like every time I see it, like I put it in a place on my phone that I'm constantly looking at it. And it's funny because words have magic and thoughts have magic. And by magic, I mean they create our realities. And so the more you read them and the more they are in your consciousness, the more your 3-year vision is in your consciousness, the more it affects this moment, this now moment. And what am I doing in sharing my plan? This is me reading it to you, telling the world. And I have engaged with several mentors. At least once a month, I engage with, like I book sessions with people, and then, and this ranges from like energy healers to tarot card readers to business mentors, and then almost daily, I'm watching something. And if I haven't said it already, I don't think I have. If you're ever feeling down, if you're ever feeling a bit lost and you're trapped in negative self-talk, just go to one of Jenna's podcasts. Listen to her and the guests that she has on. And even if it's for a few minutes, like you'll be brought back to this empowering moment where you're like, I can embody this dream life right now if I choose to. And it definitely raises my vibe every time. And the second thing to close gaps was to nurture my clients, to build a business ladder, a tree of awakening, I've called it, that supports them on their journeys. And actually created this big tree visualization on my website. It took hours and hours to do. I'm not a designer by trade for sure. And technically it was quite hard, but it allows people to see like where they're at on their journey, but more importantly, where I see them and where I see my services being able to help them. And so, some of the easier stuff won't be as good for the more advanced clients, but they might like just kind of skip through some of it. They might try it out. Like maybe they'll try one meditation and go, John, like I just like your energy. But I want to learn, some of these more advanced techniques and gifts. So yeah, that's been really helpful. What's holding me back? I started with this, right? Apologies if I didn't edit out that cough. As you can see, I'm healing from a cough. So yeah, what's holding me back? A self-limiting feeling that my mission and goals are not possible. Now, I will admit that was true. It was true until I met Jenna that that I didn't believe my mission and goals are true and that they could be possible by me. And working with Jenny at Starseed Academy, she helped me a lot with the definition of like what I could do. And Jenna's mindset shifting helped me know that they are possible and that I shall achieve them. What else is holding me back? My addiction to lack, fear of not having enough money for my family, my home, and a comfortable life. And I push myself too hard when I feel in lack. Does that resonate with you? And it's deeply connected to number 3, which is of what's holding me back is self-care and self-love. I've made, especially since last summer, where I did a lot of spiritual work around my self-care and a lot of my shadow work. And there's a whole other video about my deepest, darkest shadow work you can look up. And if you want to see it, DM me and I'll send it on to you. It's very, very dark and powerful, but so healing. And I put it in bold, self-care and self-love, like, wow, it's just so important. So that's not holding me back. It is definitely a journey for me. And it was holding me back. Investing my time in the wrong clients. We spoke about that. Fear of ridicule and my family being ridiculed. That's died down a lot. So especially since I was able to bring my partner, my wife, on a journey with me, saying, look, like I'm done with this career, with this corporate life, and I'm ready to step into my business. And when you realize that it's you and your self-love and your career and your family and your happiness and your health is so tightly coupled to the business that I create, the fear of ridicule, I'm much less interested in. You know, some people, you know, may or may not think what I do is woo-woo and crazy. I don't really care anymore. I'm all about, you know, achieving my goal. Bad habits hold me back. So food, like chocolate and biscuits and sweets, low vibe movies, action movies, horror movies, dystopian apocalypse movies, and a savior complex. Those bad habits have got a lot better. The savior complex is like, I describe that as gone. And my food, I'm getting so much better. Like, I don't know, I'll have like one chocolate bar a week or something, you know, and seek out healthy food. Movies, still a journey. Lack of knowledge about being self-employed. That was really interesting. And Jenna had a guest on, and forgive me for forgetting her name, but she talked a lot about this. Like, go off and like sort out your finances, like learn about it. And that was a friction for me as well. And so I, you know, created a plan and how much money I need to earn, and it really helped me with the gaps. Now, I don't need to like fully act on it yet, but I do have a financial plan, and I know the sorts of income I need to achieve, and I will be seeking out more helpers in that area. So if you give financial or accounting advice, let me know. Self-doubt and my abilities, mentoring and my psychic abilities. Oh, self-doubt is so dangerous, right? Like, am I psychic? Yes or no? Yes. Are we all psychic? Yes or no? Yes. Why do I doubt myself? Because sometimes I felt like when my client doesn't engage with me fully, that it's my fault. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I had on one day, the same day, 2 incredibly beautiful client sessions. They were quantum healing sessions, and one of them was very, very bright, very light. We just did so much healing, and I felt so connected, and my heart, like when I was answering, like in Jenna suggests like an end of year review, answering the question about who are the people that I feel the happiest around, or what my happiest experience is. That was one of them. That feeling in my heart of such joy in that client session really filled my heart. And that client session is public, like you can see it on YouTube. The other thing I found was I did a really dark session on the same day, that night, with a client. And we went like to the lower levels of hell and like retrieved part of their soul and brought it back. And it was a lot of inner child healing as well. And we cried, both of us cried for a long time during the session, but it was so powerful and so releasing. And I felt amazing. And so I know I have strong abilities, and that self-doubt, when that creeps in, is a negative pattern for me to like, to just keep working through and to really self-love and know that, you know, the services that I offer are a product. Yes, they are deeply linked to me, and I am my business. But at the same time, like, you know, if I wasn't a thing, if I wasn't good at a thing, then I should find something I am good at to offer to other people. And then, what are my ideas to release me from what holds me back? Constantly seeking ways to explore and rewrite my self-limiting beliefs and my programming. continuing to work on myself and face my shadows and my fears, my worst case scenarios, and prove to myself I can achieve anything I wish in every single present moment. In every moment, embody self-love and self-care first, to invest my time in my perfect clients, being clear on what the definition is of my perfect client, and putting myself into new situations constantly to overcome my fears of ridicule. And then I have some primary goals. Now, I won't go into a huge amount of detail about these, about the different services, but it includes like the definition of the free tier, like the meditations, newsletters, YouTube videos, the low-cost premium services. So these are like paid for training and meditations. Affordable services like being able to have some degree of service for me, with me at low cost and a lower lift from my perspective, but like helping build people on a longer term relationship. And full services like doing sessions, and these are like the one-to-one sessions and group sessions. And then also like ongoing, like how the high value, high worth clients, which will be a smaller number of them, maybe, are like having discounts. They're coming back for more, and they have like longer term mentoring. And then I go on and describe this new training course I'm doing. Like I've just did like, I started with like the objectives and the, you could do this whole document just for like each of these things, right? Defining a product. But yeah, I found that really useful to describe my training course. And I just wrote down what I put in each session to achieve like my primary goal and my 3-year goal. And finally, I don't know if there's more. Jenna talked about like a monetized to-do list. And that's so cool. Now, when I first heard it, I thought she meant like, or should I say, I think she did say this, and the pattern I followed was like the yearly income for specific things. So that's what I looked at. I looked at like, I have a breakdown of all the things I'm going to do, like write this business plan, write the all the great stuff I want to do. I have like, how to numbers behind like how to attract more clients, and these things range from like 10K, 30K, 100K, whatever it is for the year. What I found quite hard, it's really, really interesting exercise, and highly, highly recommend it, because it's so hard, and you realize how meaningless in some respects the numbers are. But what's less meaningless is the prioritization. And so if your goal is about, earning money, then the things you do every day should help you achieve that goal and earn money. And if your goal is more about, helping people, that would be another way of looking at it. It's like, I could help this many people with this task. So, I can help 1,000 people with my premium meditations. I could help 10,000 people with my free meditations. And also like projects. And then I've got like, some simple ones. I've actually done this one, which is like, for £200 a year, add some dynamic, appealing content to my homepage and my website. Okay, so that is the whole thing. I've read out a lot. An hour, I expected to be about 20 minutes. And I didn't expect to read out everything in detail, but I feel like it's just so important to share where I am in my journey right now. And I'll also talk briefly about the fact that Jenna helped me take that big leap this week and resign from my corporate job and give notice, which I've done to my manager. And the way the universe, the way your subconscious works is you can allow yourself to be taken to this cliff. You can allow yourself, and you can push really hard to get right to the edge of the cliff, but no one and nothing will ever tell you what's on the other side of that cliff, what's below you, because your worldview, the version of you that got you to the edge of the cliff, isn't capable of seeing the bottom of the ground below the cliff or the sky and the stars above it. That version of you is only capable of getting to the edge. And what's really exciting for me is literally the moment, because the universe rewards the brave, right? So the moment that I said to my manager, first of all, I'm leaving the company this year. It's the first thing I said. And then the second thing is, I said, I'm leaving the industry, 26 years in software engineering and artificial intelligence development. I'm leaving. And her response was like, wow, that's huge. That's huge. And I described what I'm going to do with my business. And she just said, Jon, like, the world needs you. The world needs the whole of you. You know, it's great you coming into work and doing these, you know, software and artificial intelligence stuff and running teams. But really, what we need is less war, you know, more peace, more abundance for every soul. We need more love. We need less fear, and we need more compassion. And the world needs all of me. And then she really kindly said that she'd help me like get clients, you know, help me with the work. I'm already doing like weekly meditations at work, and she's been to some of them and she's loved it. She's like, Jon, like, you create this oasis for people in their busy, stressful jobs that they can come and relax into. Even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes, like, it's that 10 minutes that, you know, can literally save someone's life. So what was really beautiful was we spoke about also like how I could continue to like do that in my job, and also like how I'd love to work with other corporate companies when I leave to, you know, to help their people. So that's what happened. And when I stepped off the cliff, instead of falling, because you're kind of programmed to believe that the moment you stop like working so hard, or plan for that everything would collapse, that you're always on that edge of, you know, collapse, whether it's mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, that every dimension will just stop. And, you know, I'd be living in a box under a bridge. And the reality is, you know, all the things that I've described, all the things that are preparing me for this transition into this new world are changing me to allow me to become this new version of me. And the new version of me chooses to step off the cliff and onto a cloud. And my guides were showing me this, like in the sky as well, this beautiful bright cloud. And even it was in a 5 a.m. morning run, this super dark, the stars were out, but this really bright cloud appeared really strangely by itself. It was really magical. And they're saying, that's what you stepped onto, Jon, and that cloud is rising. So I can stand on this cloud of this new business, this new vision, and all these beautiful clients I will work with, and allow myself to rise on that. And if I hadn't gone through this transformation with Jenna, I mentioned Jenny from Starseed Academy, and all the other people that have supported me, and including my clients and my loved ones and my family, if I hadn't gone through this, I would have stepped out of my corporate job straight into the same patterns, work really hard, you know, be super self-limiting. And I would have ended up, you know, at it for a few weeks or months and then gone back to where I was. And that wouldn't happen because I'm changing myself, removing my limitations and my limiting beliefs, and working on like my fear and my shadows and becoming this whole version of me. So there we go. I hope this answers the question about how Jenna helped me, which is what I set out to answer. And I hope it helped many things. And I'm going live with Jenna on Monday at 11:30 a.m. to talk more about this. And I hope that I'm able to explain more in a shorter period of time, because I get a bit nervous. But thank you so much. Thank you for tolerating my coughs. And if you're interested in any of the business and services that I offer, or working with me, collaborating with me, partnering with me, giving me advice, please reach out, connect me. And you know, I'm Jon Binnie on jonbinnie.com. And you'll also find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you so much. I'm sending my love from Scotland. Love you.